Today, let's talk about all the different ways that we can show our subtraction with large numbers. The first way that we learn how to build numbers is with the place value blocks. We can also draw our place value blocks. This is a subtraction problem, which means that we start with the whole thing and then we're going to take a part away. So what we do with place value blocks is we just build the number. 2 hundreds, 3 tens, and 1 1. Now our job is to simply take away 144 from this number. We're going to start with the ones. Here we have 4 ones to take away. But if I look over at my ones, I only have 1 1. So I'm going to have to go next door to the tens, take a 10, and regroup it. I'm going to trade it in for 10 ones. Now you'll see that I have 11 ones, and I need to take away 4. So this will be much easier. I can take away 4 ones from this. Now I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ones remaining. Great. Next, I go to the tens place. In the tens place, I'm trying to take away 4 tens, but I only have 2 tens remaining. That means I'm going to have to go over to the hundreds blocks, take one away, and trade it in for 10 tens. Now I have a total of 12 tens, and I simply just need to take 4 of them away. So I'm just going to cross out 4 of them. Now let's see how many tens I have remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 tens remaining, which is the same thing as 80. Now I move over to the hundreds place. It says here I need to take away 100. If I take away 100, I have nothing left. So I know that 80 plus 7 is 87. So the difference is 87. Let's try that the same way using numbers instead of pictures. We call that the expanded algorithm. First we write 231 in expanded form. Then we write 144 in expanded form. And remember, we are subtracting. We always start back at the ones. If I take 1 and try to subtract 4, I can't do that. So I'm going to go next door to the tens place and take away a 10 from here to make this 20. And trade that over for 10 more ones. Since I already have 1 1 and now I've added 10, this changes to 11 ones. Now I can do 11 minus 4. 11 minus 4 is 7. Now I'm ready to move over to the tens. I have 20 minus 40. I can't do that. So I need to go over to the hundreds place, take away 100, and move that over. And I'm going to make a total of 120 tens. 12 tens, which is the value is 120. I'm sorry. So basically, I just took a 100 block, traded it in for 10 tens, and I ended up with 120. Okay, so 120 minus 40 is 80. Last but not least, I'll move over to the hundreds, and I notice here that I have 100, and I take away 100, so I know that leaves me with 0. 80 plus 7 is 87, so I end up with the same difference as I did when I drew the pictures. Now let's look at subtraction on a number line. Subtraction is different from addition because we start with the whole thing. So we start at 231, and we're actually going to count backwards to slowly take away 144. I'm going to break it into smaller pieces to make it a little bit easier for me. Okay, first I'm going to go ahead and try to subtract 100 because I think I can do that in my head, and that lands on 131. So that was minus 100. So I've subtracted that. Now, I'm at 131. I don't think I can go back 40 right now, but I think I could try to go back 30. So I'm going to change this 40 to 30 plus 10. Okay, so I know that 131 minus 30 is 101. So I've got that done. Now I'm going to go back 10 more, and I know that gets me to 91. And I still have 4 left to go. So I'm going to just count backwards. 90, 89, 87, 88, 87. I got ahead of myself because I knew 91 minus 4 in my head. Okay, so basically what I did is I just took it in smaller steps all the way back until I got to my answer. I want to also show you what subtraction looks on a bar model or strip diagram. Remember in subtraction that we start with a whole, so the whole thing is 231. We take away part of that, which is 144. So the difference we're trying to get is the other part. It's the missing part. Another way I can check my work is to estimate, which means round. The closest 10 I can find to 231 would be 230. And the closest 10 to 144 would be 140. So I'm just going to subtract these with the standard algorithm. And I get 90. So this is an estimate of what my difference would be. Next, we're going to check with the inverse operation. Inverse means opposite. First, and I'm going to do that using the standard algorithm. Looking at the ones, I have 1 minus 4. I cannot do that. So I'm going over to the tens, and I'm going to borrow a 10 and move it over. 10 plus 1 is 11. 11 minus 4 is 7. Now I go to my tens. 2 minus 4 I can't do. So I go to the hundreds and borrow one of those and trade it in for 10 tens. Now I have 12 tens. 12 minus 4 is 8. And 1 minus 1 is 0. So I don't have to put anything here. So we're going to check this with the inverse operation. What we do is we take the difference and put it on the top. We move this number over. Make sure you line up your tens and your ones and your hundreds. And we're doing the inverse operation. That means the opposite. The opposite of subtraction is addition. Okay, let's check our work. Starting with the ones. 7 plus 4 is 11. Carry that 10 over. 8 plus 4 is 12. Plus 1 more is 13. Carry that 100 over. And 1 plus 1 is 2. So as you can see, I started with 231, I ended with 231, so I know my answer is correct. Now I'd like you to try your own problem, 248 minus 169, and find the difference. Please try it in all the different ways, and if you're in my class at school, you can bring this by for reward tickets and do your very best work. You'll do great.